G'day folks, today I'm going to show you a few rigs and techniques on how to catch king salmon. We'll go through some hooks, styles of hooks, even braid, mono, and show you a couple of reels that you can use to hopefully get that fish of a lifetime. Firstly, I want to talk about hook selection, and the first hook on the market is the Carl hook. Shiner, wide gap, big mouth. It's certain names by certain companies. It would be the most productive hook on the market for live baiting, dead baiting. Whether you're tail hooking, mouth hooking, or a big large prawn, strip bait, brilliant hook. Only thing with this hook is it does tend to gut hook a lot of fish. So if you want to release fish, it's probably not the best hook for that. Rightio, the second hook I want to talk about is my preferred hook, the octopus hook. So I use a running sinker straight on that hook, right in the rod holder, preset drag. I let the fish load up on that rod, pick it up, then I strike. So they're an awesome strike hook. So that is my preferred hook for live baiting and dead baiting. Now the third hook I want to talk about is the circle hook. They're an amazing hook. So what they do is, as soon as the fish bites down on that hook, turns to swim off, locks in the corner of the mouth. So they are a perfect hook if you're live baiting and you want to release fish. So you can imagine that's a king salmon's mouth. There's your live bait. He swallowed your live bait. Now he's swimming, turning to swim away. Boom, in the corner of the mouth every time. Perfect hook for corner of the mouth and live baiting if you want to release your fish. Okay, so the fourth hook I want to talk about is the long shank hook. Now you still can use that for a live bait hook. They're a good hook because they got a long shank as well. If you're pinning your live bait and you've got a mouthy critters like your king salmon, blue salmon, barramundi. Blue salmon and king salmon have got like sandpapery teeth, so they rasp a lot of your leader line. So that there will stop that. But my preferred option for these is dead bait. So I like a large green prawn, 3 or 4 yabbies even, a big strip of ribbon fish or mullet. As king salmon still forage, they'll forage along the bottom and take a dead bait off the bottom. So that's my preferred bait hook for using dead baits. And the last hook I want to show you is the treble. Amazing hook for float lining. So what I do there is I run a float on top of my treble, and what I'll do is, like I said in the previous videos, you've seen how I showed you the king salmon dent their noses in the mud chasing prawn and crabs and fish like that in the shallows. I get a few hours to the top of the tide where you see those marks just get covered. I'll put 3 live prawn or a couple of live mullet on that, and I'll float them. A stopper up the top of your float there, so it stops to where you want that float to stop. If it's a metre or metre and a half of water that you're floating over the top, especially 3 prawns on there, because what they'll do is they'll flick together and then they'll just attract the kingies. And amazing hook if you want to try floating live baits. So there's an assortment of hooks for you to try out, and hopefully that'll get you a king salmon. So we're going to go through a few rigs and show you what you can use to catch threadies. So the first one I'm going to show you is my preferred hook, like I said, the octopus hook. It's a great hook. Now just before we go any further, I make these rigs up and I go to put them in clip seal bags. The reason why I put them in clip seal bags is because if you're on a hot bite and you only got to bite for 15-20 minutes, you don't want to lose that hot bite. So I have these pre-rigged. You can get them from the newsagents for about $8 for about 50, and I just have them pre-made, rolled up, ready to go. So like I said, if you're on a hot bite and you get busted off, the last thing you want is to be making rigs up and wasting time. So, but what I got here is you can do this with a circle hook, octopus hook, long shank, either. This is a special one that I make up. So these are done with a Flemish eye and aluminium crimp. Normally use about 60 centimeters of. I like fluorocarbon leader. The reason I use a lot of fluorocarbon is it's nearly invisible, and it's got a hard outer abrasive coating. So it's good for like kingies, blue salmon, barramundi. That's just my preferred way. It is a little bit harder to tie, but crimping them like this works extremely well. What I tend to use is the Optia aluminium sleeves, and I just use a little Flemish eye, tie Flemish eye, so you get a really nice, clean, movable hook there. And then I run beads as well. Beads are great more for night time. You shine a head torch on them or a light on them, and they'll throw about a 3-meter radius glow. Just brilliant for those live baiting at night time. So, and then all I do is I just roll them up, put them in your clip seal bag, and make a dozen of those up ready, so you don't have to muck around when you're on a hot bite. Now that octopus hook is great. With that there, I'll just have a running sinker on the end of the swivel. What happens, it just gives you your bait a bit of mobility, so your sinker sitting on the bottom, your bait can swim around, or even really good for strip baiting as well. So that's a nice little octopus style there. Now another rig I want to show you is my preferred rig I use a lot for live baiting is just basically running sinker straight on your hook. I use this a lot. Main reason being is that I like the scope of it. So like when I throw my live bait out, that sinker will just hit the bottom and he can just run to wherever he likes and swim about. And like I said, I put my rod in the rod holder, watch the tip of your rod, preset drag, and then when they strike that rod down, I pick up and I strike the hook. So the running sinker straight on the hook is one of my preferred rigs. The next one I'll show you is this basically the long shank hook. The long shank hook rig, especially for dead baits like strip baits, or if you want to put live prawn on or dead prawn, yabbies, it's good too, because what happens, your bait can waffle around in the current with your sinker sitting down like that, and that's a really good rig for using for like I said, bottom baits or strip baits or anything like those. And the last one I want to show you is, second last, sorry, I want to show you is the floating rig. Now that I was explaining before, it's brilliant for in the shallows for putting like 3 prawn on or a couple of mullet on. What I tend to do is I use these, what they call float stoppers from STM Tackle. They're absolutely brilliant. So how they work is you just get your line like that, put it through the loop. Whoop. And what you do then is just drag your stopper off, like so, and it'll run onto your line like that. And you just preset it to wherever you want. Like if you wanted a meter and a half, then what happens is when you cast it out, it's a weighted float. And these here have got Lumo tubing on it, so at night time you hit it with a torch and it glows in the dark so you can see where they're going. And then what happens is that'll just float up to that stopper and it won't go any further. So those stoppers from STM Tackle are perfect for that floating for live baits as well. And the last one I want to show you is the Paternoster rig. Now, if you go back and have a look how we've done our Paternoster rigs, we've done a section on how to tie a Paternoster rig. They're great for live baiting as well. A lot of people use them in deeper holes. So what it does, obviously, keeps your bait off the bottom so you can swim around, especially around snaggy areas. So the Paternoster rig is another good rig to use for live baiting for king salmon. So that's just a few to hopefully help you out. Now, line selection. You can use both mono or braid. Monofilament I find has more stretch, more abrasive qualities, and I find its hookup rate is a lot better, and it does hold natural bait presentation a lot better as well. Braided lines, a lot more line on your spool because it's so thin. It has less stretch in the water, cuts the water a lot cleaner, so less drag, but in most applications you need to use a mono leader because of the abrasive qualities, that it doesn't have any abrasive qualities. So reel selections. I like just my standard spin reel because, like I said, I have my rods in the holder, preset drag, and then 90% times if you're chasing king salmon or barra, they'll just load your rod over. Barra normally just hook themselves, jump out the water. Kingies will normally load it over and run upstream trying to shake your bait, so you just wind up on them. So that's me. I just like, personally, I like my spin outfits. There's a lot of good reels on the market. A lot of people use the bait runners, which are a fantastic design. They've been around for a long time. So basically just have a standard preset drag and you turn the bait runner on. The fish can just run with them. You strike the handle, engages the reel, and then you're fighting the fighting mode. They're a great, really great reel for live baiting. I do find with bait runners, I tend not to use circle hooks. Only reason being is a circle hook, you need to have a bit of tension there to hook your fish. So I tend not to use circle hooks when I'm using bait runners. Another good option is the overheads. Any style of overhead. Good old Abus have been around forever. What a lot of people use them for is just ratchet on, take it out of gear, set it in the rod holder. Like a bait runner, they'll run off with when you think they've had enough, hit the handle, sets a hook. So there are a few options there for you to try to catch a king salmon.